It's the weekend. It's time to go camping. It's time to get outside, but we're gonna mix it up.
I've been working my butt off to build an online course for adventure YouTubers, and I desperately need a break or I'm going to burn out.
Normally when I go camping, I go to these like random remote places that nobody ever goes. But it's been a really long week. I'm so tired. I'm getting my course ready to release next month and I've been working my butt off. And I just don't want to sit in a car for several hours going somewhere this weekend, but I really need to get outside. I also don't want to be in traffic, and it's like one of the first weekends it's been warm, so there's guaranteed to be a lot of people getting out of the city. And finally, I don't have Pivo this weekend. I normally have Pivo, so now I can go somewhere where she's not allowed. So
I'm headed to Remote Beach, 48 minutes west of Auckland City, Whatipu Beach, WH making a F sound according to Maori pronunciation. Whatipu was made a scientific reserve in 2002 and is now dedicated to scientific study, research, and education. As a result of its protected status, it remains an ideal spot to head if you want to feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but not spend hours in the car. Normally on a weekend without Pivo, I'd go somewhere super adventurous and far away, but I've heard Whatipu is worth my time, so I'm going to go see for myself.
there are two things I would never go camping without in New Zealand. One is my rain jacket. I don't care what time of year it is. You need a rain jacket, trust me. And sunscreen. The sun is crazy here. Absolute nuts. There are some other things, like I am still bringing my winter gear, my hat and my gloves, because southerlies come through and it gets so cold at night. Oh yeah, and sandfly repellent. I think I mentioned this in the Christmas episode, but yeah, their sandflies suck.
In January of 2023, the North Island of New Zealand experienced more rain than ever before on record, resulting in a state of emergency as citizens all over the country got isolated due to slips or landslides across the roads. Hillsides where native trees had been replaced with the profitable pine were most susceptible, resulting in entire homes and farm plots being wiped out. The roads out west of Auckland, being in the Waitakere Ranges, were some of the hardest hit, and as we saw later in this trip, were incredibly dangerous and slippery.
So the whole drive is on these windy roads. Not once have I gotten on the highway, and it's not great in New Zealand, just generally speaking, if you get car sick. But yeah. Would you live out here? People coming in and thin roads, not know how to drive? I don't know if I would. It is remote though, for being so close to Auckland. I thought it was an hour. Turns out it's only 48 minutes. Super close.
Now, you might be wondering why I chose this specific spot. I mentioned that Whatipu is a scientific reserve, and that means the area is a prime spot for several endangered birds. The area also has super gorgeous jet black sand beaches, though the deadly riptides and currents make it extremely dangerous to swim. However, all of that is not why this area is appealing to me. The primary reason I chose this spot is because of my deep love of caves, and I hear one cave in particular has a very interesting history here.
So one of the big questions I had is whether or not I'd be able to hear the airplanes when I came here, since we're right near the airport, and apparently one went over and I did not hear it. So there you go. It's very quiet. They don't disturb you. But now it is time for a walk. Set up the campsite and gonna go see some caves. I'm curious to see if they're good caves or not, because to be honest, I'm a little bit picky on my caves. So far, this is a nice area, but we'll see how the walks are. I wonder if all the walks will be this busy, because there's a ton of cars up at the parking lot and I've already been passed by 2 people, so woo. Apparently there's a better one. That one's not the good one. But now I'm wondering, what's the next one gonna be like? Oh, this is a promising start. Ooh, this is definitely better. Have I mentioned I like caves? Whoa. Well, this is cool. It never ceases to amaze me how you walk into a cave and the temperature just drops significantly. Like, it's actually a little cool in here. By no means is this the best cave I've ever been to, but it was still pretty cool and I like caves. So, but I'm curious to see what the other walks will be like, because this one is, it's good, it's short, it's easy, but you know, we like a little bit of challenge, right? So let's go see what it's like.
Between 1866 and 1886, Whatipu was at the center of kauri timber milling, and evidence of the people who lived near the mill can be found around the area. This cave used to serve as a dance hall and community center, and in fact, underneath all the sand, it is likely the wood floor still exists. Now though, a nasty soil pathogen has caused kauri to be deemed a threatened species, and milling has almost entirely stopped around the country.
Well, that's cool. The first cave was, second cave was pretty good. This cave is freaking awesome. It's big. It's not like the exploring kind of cave that like, it doesn't go very deep, but it's a pretty cool cave. I would say overall, worth it. But we'll see what the other hikes are like, because there's a lot of really cool mountains you can go up to, see some views, and you can walk along the beach. So looking forward to seeing what else there is, because this was a short and easy one, I'm not gonna lie. Probably didn't even need to wear shoes, but you know.
One thing that caught my attention about Whatipu is the diversity of what you can experience. I had just visited a giant cave, and now I'd be off to explore the gorgeous black sand beaches, where I would see the most quintessential New Zealand experience. New Zealand is very volcanic, and that volcanic rock is part of the reason you can see black sand beaches along some of the coastlines. The sand gets very hot, so make sure you protect your feet. Over the years, foreign companies have taken notice of the resources in the sand and have made bids to mine it. But Whatipu and many other West Coast communities have fought hard to keep mining companies out. There's a part of me that will always seek out danger. The caves were cool, but didn't really go deep enough. The currents here were deadly, but I wasn't stupid enough to get in the water. So that left one option: climb over the rocks as I watched the strong tide swish below me, just close enough to the risk to feel that jump in my spirit and a reminder that I'm alive. Do you know that feeling? Or am I just crazy?
So this is the Manukau Harbor. It's super strong currents here. You don't want to be swimming. Look at mouth over there. Okay.
But alas, from afar, I could see and hear Nine Pin Island, and I was curious what all that racket was about. The noise being made was by a flock of white-fronted tern, also known as a sea swallow. Terns are found around the world near the sea, rivers, or wetlands. The white-fronted tern is the most common tern in New Zealand, found along the coastline eating fish. They're likely here at Whatipu to breed from October to January, but there's some irony that they're in a research reserve since they are notorious for being difficult to study due to their unpredictable nature. Sadly, the white-fronted tern has entered the too popular ranks of birds in decline in New Zealand due to introduced pests killing them off.
So I got back to the campsite and it is much colder now, and also, oh my gosh, it's busy. There's people all around me now. It's packed. It would be a crazy place to stay in the summer, I think. It'll be interesting to see what it's like later tonight. I'm going for a sunset hike to the top of the mountain, and I'm wondering how many other people are gonna have the same idea as me, because the beach was fine even though it was a little busy because it's so spread out, but the hike is gonna be kind of straight up, so see if it's busy or not. So we're going to the top of the taller peak right there, and my guess it's gonna take about 45 minutes. We'll see. It's gonna be straight up the whole way. hopefully make it to the top before the sun sets, and I wonder if it will be worth the hike up there.
On a clear day on top of the hill, supposedly you could see all the way up and down the west coast, and you could also see Auckland to the east. Today was a clear day, and I was not about to miss this opportunity.
I feel like I'm gonna be hot. This is crazy. It just keeps going. Up and up and up and up. It's gonna be pretty though, or at least I hope it is. So far I've only seen one other person. Kind of tells you how windy it gets over here. The trees leaning on their sides. That's crazy. Almost there. I'm getting there. So close. Oh. What an incredible view. 360. Definitely worth it. This is amazing. And now I get to watch the sunset from up here. Yay.
I'll be honest, I still wasn't sure about this campsite and whether or not I'd recommend it, but having time to relax was definitely one of the appeals.
Time to head home, unfortunately, but to be honest, I'm super curious to see what the traffic's gonna be like, because I'm going home a little earlier than normal, so the lateness means there's less traffic, and I'm gonna be going right through the city the whole time, so let's see what the traffic is like. That was obviously not part of this episode I was planning, but I think it's really important to point out here that driving on gravel roads is different, and this is actually not the first time I've seen an accident on gravel roads here in New Zealand. I actually had a student once that flipped an entire camper van and ended up owing $60,000 to reimburse for the whole camper van because her insurance policy didn't cover her on gravel. So yeah, be careful when you come out to these places anywhere in New Zealand. Gravel roads are very, very common. But yeah, glad this person was okay. He was walking, he was standing, he didn't seem hurt, there was no blood. So yeah. Well, there's no traffic. Yay! I think part of that is because I'm coming from out west. It might be different if you're like going on the one or coming from the south, coming from the north. But I think from coming out west, there's just like less people who go out there. So that's cool, no traffic. So I guess the big question is would I recommend this campsite?
So, was it worth it? All the crowds, the car flying off the road, oh my god. Well, it's a little bit more complicated than a yes and no. I've spent a lot of my life feeling like I had to do things to impress people, and just kind of was, you know, trying to circumnavigate New Zealand with like no experience. I wanted to do it fast and show everyone how cool I was, but as I've, you know, in the last year grown, I have started doing things more for myself and not really to impress everyone. And this weekend I needed just like a chill weekend, just hanging out at the beach and not really stressing about traffic or anything like that. And Whatipu was freaking perfect. It wasn't too busy, and I got to get home and see people. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you. And yeah, it was perfect for that. That said, I am a person who always really loves a thrill, and I have got some amazing plans of how I'm going to show you more of New Zealand than any other YouTube channel out there. So yeah, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out, and I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.